Obviously, I want us to talk about the team and the upcoming season eventually, but at first, I want to begin with the inspiration of seeing your tree back there behind you in your apartment. Talk about Christmas a little bit. Yesterday in the office, you asked me how my holiday was, but I want to know more about yours since you're also not from this area. So I'm hoping that you were able to travel home and see family.
I did. So I was home about 2 weeks, which is probably the longest amount of time I've been home, especially during this time. But it was awesome to get to go back home to Northern Virginia and see my parents and spend a little time in Richmond with some of my extended family as well. So it was very good to see family and some friends, and get to recharge and reboot before coming back.
Now, what about, I know we don't want to be too vain here or materialistic, but what about gifts? Did you get one that you really, really liked or you want to share with us?
Mm. Well, shout out to my mom. She got me this Fitbit. So
Yes.
thank you, Mom. And then my brother actually got me Dolly Parton's songbook, her latest book. So it goes back and talks about all her songs and the process and how it came to be. I'm a big Dolly Parton fan. I don't think a lot of people would realize that, but
No.
that was a great gift to open from my brother. So those are my two
Wow.
ones.
Yeah, that's a great gift. I hope that you're a big fan if someone gets you a songbook of Dolly Parton. That's definitely not something that I was aware of, and a lot of people are learning it. So thanks for divulging that bit of information. What's your favorite song? Do you have one?
Oh gosh.
There's so many.
Jolene. I mean, Jolene's
Yeah.
probably, you know, I think that's everybody's favorite Dolly song.
Yep.
But pretty much anything Dolly sings, even if it's 9 to 5. I mean, she wrote it, in the 80s, but it's still so relevant
Hmm.
today. And, her ballads. And I think she's just a very like honest truth teller, no matter what the topic is. And she's not afraid to push boundaries, and she's honest and tells her story. And I really admire that about her.
When you were in that time, I guess, when you were actually on the court and you were going to class and you were everyday Hornet in that way, was anything that's happened to you since graduation part of the plan, part of any goals that you had? Did you know as a freshman even coming in that coaching is the path that I want to take?
I'd say coming in as a freshman, I didn't really know, what I wanted to major in. Didn't really have a set path. I think I, kind of had an idea, but that was the beauty of Lynchburg and choosing Lynchburg is I knew I had a lot of options once it did, kind of come to me. I think I always wanted to coach. I think that's always been in me. I was really lucky the high school I went to, we got to host a lot of like regional playoffs for states and things like that. And, in my mind, I was like, being an athletic director, that's got to be like the coolest job. Or to coach at a high school, that's got to be the coolest job because you get to coach and then you work games, not really knowing, all the planning and the time it takes behind the scenes. But I just thought that was the best job ever. So I think I always wanted to stay kind of in that realm of athletics. But it really wasn't until I did my GA at Salisbury where I thought, staying in the college ranks could really be a career.
Is the athletic director part of that response still a thing for you, maybe?
I really respect Coach Waters, but that is a tough task. I think it's tough just managing one team. But for him, 20 or 21 sports we have. I mean, he's the head coach of all of us. So, like I said, nothing but the utmost respect. But I'm very happy just, taking care of women's basketball.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. A lot of us that see what goes into that now are thinking, whew, we're a lucky bunch. That's a great way to describe it. I never thought about that, but the AD is the coach of everybody, is the head coach for all of us. So, really insightful way to describe that. You mentioned Salisbury. There's also a Berry College reference that can come with that in terms of places that you went to after your time at then Lynchburg College. Does anything from those periods of time stay with you now? And it can be as to the average person as boring as practice plans, or it can be something even larger in terms of what you try to convey to your team for game day situations.
Yeah, I think, the funny thing is everywhere I've been, while every head coach, every department, school's been different, I think the fundamental things still apply. Like no matter where you are, you got to come in, ready to work hard. You've got to be loyal to your program, to your student athletes that you serve every day. And I think too, you've really got to, be true to yourself and just try and do what you think is right, whether that's on the court or, off the court, just how you live your everyday life, just trying to model, the best you can for the student athletes, we coach and mentor.
What do you feel like so far you've brought to Lynchburg that maybe wasn't here, or was more of something that could add to whatever Coach Isaac Smith had in place once you got here, based on the experiences that you had with Salisbury and Barry?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, and this is a shout out to Coach Dunn when I was at Barry, is she was really good about thinking outside the box. Or if we needed to change something, whether it's on the fly or, maybe a day before the game, she wasn't afraid, to make those changes. And that's the same, when I was at Salisbury and Washington College as well. But I think, working for Coach Dunn those 2 years really taught me, it's okay to think outside the box and try new things. As long as it serves the team well, it's not a bad decision, at least to try.
I don't want to dig too far, but we can go deeper than we've been able to the last couple of years because, as you mentioned, this team is more experienced than they've been the last few years. If you want to name individuals, it's fine. Some coaches don't. So if you just want to give me a general feel about the fresh faces, those that we may not know because we haven't had a true preseason or scrimmages to kind of get an idea of who else there's going to be making an impact this year. So if you could kind of enlighten us a little bit on that part of it.
You can tell, the light bulb is starting to go off a little bit for all of them, where it's like, okay, I understand why we have to, deny the passing lane, why we close out this way. These are, the next layers in our offense we're looking for, everything that comes with that maturity and how it complements the skill they already have is exciting. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job of adapting and just trusting the process and rolling with us. I'm really excited to see how they all continue to grow in that way on the court and off. It's been very exciting. Even coming off of break, yesterday we were just doing a shooting drill and one of our freshmen, I mean, she was just lighting it up. I think I joked with her. I was like, I don't know what you ate today, but you need to eat that every day because that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, last thing I want to ask you related to the team and the season coming up is there's the obvious part of it that this is your first time in this particular position with a team. So there's some challenges there. There's some unknowns there. Then you throw in the pandemic unknowns that we're seeing a little bit of in Division I, and certainly it's going to trickle down at some point. How do you address maybe some of the pre-stress that the players might be putting on themselves for the season, maybe even parents for that matter, wondering how things are going to work out, and even yourself? Like, that's got to be such a mental toughness area, mental strain perhaps on some people. What's maybe your advice or ways that you've found you can combat that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Joe. I think it's really, especially for us, just controlling what you can control. Just simple things like wearing a mask when you go out, making sure you have the hand sanitizer, those things as we're talking about the pandemic. Then also, just trying not to look so far ahead where you kind of psych yourself out, if you will. When it comes to basketball and other things, we're just trying to take it day by day, and we're going to prepare, whether it's Bridgewater, Emory and Henry, whoever that next person is. And if we don't end up playing the game, we're still better and prepared for it anyway. Like you said, games are going to be postponed or canceled. It's inevitable, whether it's on our end, on an opponent's end. And that's something, we really haven't addressed too much, to be honest, just because, again, trying to get back in routine, back in rhythm. But that's one of those things, again, just like in the fall, whatever comes our way, we're going to deal with it and we're going to move on. And it's only going to make us make us better in the end.